Hello, everyone. Okay, it says we're live and we have 54 people. I am doing I'm author Elizabeth Ann West, by the way. We are doing a little bit of a change here in that I have reduced down to the lowest amount. Oops, sorry for that echo real fast. Forgot about that. Okay, so I'll go ahead and close that out and have the chat going. Welcome, everyone. So this live is going to be different than the other lives. We are debuting a brand new tool. And this tool is, well, it's been a dream of mine that the AI could work with me in such a way that I could give it some commands. And I've been working in prompting. If those of you who are friends of mine who have been in my Zooms, like after hours, we've been really pushing the prompting and different things to try to see like how far can we move the AI. And I got the opportunity to share it with the team at Sudowrite. And the developers just kind of, the project had a code name called Mechanize Elizabeth for a little bit. So they basically took some of the different workflows and methodologies, plus parts that they had already built. And we have created this wonderful thing called Story Engine. And I just want to, if you could show some appreciation in the chat for Josh and for James and for Ryan. That is our development team. Amit as well, but Amit's on vacation. So, definitely give major props to the guys who are behind Sudowrite, and they make all of this possible. So I am so grateful. I'm one of those authors who I've always had to use adaptive technology to write. I've used dictation and different things. So using AI helps me get words on the page in an accessible way that doesn't impact my my neck injuries and stuff that I have. I know there's other people who have had brain fog from long COVID or car accidents or different things that AI has really helped them. So, all right. So we have a whole bunch of people in. I wanted to give people a few minutes to get in, but I think we're going to get started. So there is a link at the top of the page, top of the chat, and also in the description that if you would like alpha access, and what I mean by that is that you would have access to this tool with your Sudowrite account. It would charge the words from your quota, but you would be able to do the things that I'm about to demo, and you'd actually be able to play with it. It is super rough edge. It is super cutting edge. So we're going to see some bloopers and some bugs and some funky things, but that's all part of the testing process. So without further ado, I'm going to share my screen. There we go. Can everybody see my project? My project's right there. And of course, my dog. Everybody knows Dasha. Dasha is always the problem. You can't live stream with a dog, I promise. They always want to interrupt. Come on. Come on. You have to be in. There we go. If any of you have a rescue animal, you'll understand that they never want to listen to you when you say, like, I have a live stream, dog. You have to come in before I start. They always wait till you start 5 minutes in. Okay. So here we go. This is an interactive thing. And to prove that I did not plan this ahead of time, I am opening the door for any story idea. It has to be rated PG-13 to R. Okay. So in the chat, go ahead and tell me what story idea do we want to work with today? I'm being brave. Let's see what the chat comes up with. Okay, we're talking about cats. Please, nothing with cats. I'm a dog person. Tarmac elves. Okay, that was a good idea. That was from today's Sudowrite 101. Good to see you, John. We did elves. Billionaire contemporary romance, a Christmas novella, Jack and the Beanstalk, looking for the Holy Grail. Oh my goodness, a sci-fi reimagining of Little Red Riding Hood. Okay, y'all. Okay, so we have some content. We have some opportunities here. Now let's do plus 100s for the ideas that you like that are in the chat so far. Let's see what we have. Anyone like something that's already come out? Love the Fables. A ghost. Let's do Mail Order Bride Goes West. You know what? We could probably do a couple of these different things. I really like the sci-fi Red Riding Hood too. That was my initial, I just want to know what the heck the AI does about this. Okay, sci-fi Little Red Riding Hood. Here we go. Okay, so I have a project that I already created, but we're going to go ahead and go with a new one, just so you see that there's nothing up my sleeves. I'm literally wearing a dress here. And if you are used to Sudowrite, you'll see the new thing right here on the lower left, Story Engine. Now, we always name our projects. right? Or we end up with a sea of untitled projects in our thing there. So I'm going to click on this story engine button right here under Canvas. Now, story engine brings you to this really cool, I'm going to go ahead and zoom out a little bit so you can see how amazing this interface is. It moves from left to right, and it's going to work me through working with my story from brain dump, from idea, to synopsis, to characters, to outline, and then, yes, we are going to generate scenes. So we do have to validate it each step of the way. That's part of the human part. So brain dump, I'm going to do sci-fi, Red Riding Hood. Any other details we have? Do we want to say the year is 2020? How about 2030? Year is 2030. Okay, so you can give as much information here on the brain dump that you want, or as little. I've given that much. It will tell you how many characters this box can hold. This box can hold up to 10,000 words. I don't know what this is a wolf. We're going to find out together what the wolf is. So the genre here, we're going to go with fairy tale, science fiction mashup. We'll see what we get here. And the style. So what's really cool about all of these little boxes, not only does it tell you the characters, these question marks will tell you exactly what can go in these boxes. So you can describe the style of the generated prose. So you could do something in the style of various, okay, we have the forest is on an alien planet. I will add that to the brain dump. And I also like the star hopping wolf idea. That's really cool. So we can decide the style of it. So we want maybe not 2030 then, if we're going to do on an alien planet, the wolf is a star hopping, do we call him star hopping wolf? Is a star hopping space explorer. And grandma, I like the Lewis Carroll style. We'll do that one. That's a good idea. Grandma's Neuralink chip has gone offline. All right. Now, this is an interesting thing. Wolf Rogue. My goodness. Planet named Willow Creek. These are all inside jokes because the AI constantly makes every small town Willow Creek. So in the style, we're going to go Lewis Carroll for modern audiences. Lots of dialogue. I like dialogue. So we're just going to put that in there. Keep chimp. No wolf should be a T-Rex. Indeed. All right. So the next thing I'm going to go ahead and do is click this generate button, and it's going to go. Now, you might have a couple of questions about what kind of algorithms are being used here. So we are actually using a combination of the latest and greatest, including GPT-4, some Claude action from Anthropic, and then also some standbys that you know very well, such as Turbo 3.5. So let's see what we have here. Sci-fi fantasy, Little Red Riding Hood on an alien planet. The wolf is a star-hopping space explorer. Grandma's Neuralink chip has gone offline. It almost sounds like a Christmas song. It reminds me of Grandma got ran over by a reindeer a little bit. So here we go. Little Red Riding Hood is a young girl who lives on a distant planet far from Earth. Her grandmother, with whom she shares a special bond, is an expert in Neuralink technology and is often called upon to help colonizers adjust to the harsh conditions of their new home. Hello. Wait, good job, AI, bringing in some extra drama. One day, Little Red Riding Hood receives a message from her grandmother that something is wrong with her Neuralink chip and she needs her help. As Little Red Riding Hood makes her way through the dense forest to her grandma's home, she encounters a wolf-like creature that she recognizes as a star-hopping space explorer. I think he needs to be handsome. So we're just going to make that change. He's a handsome star-hopping space explorer. The creature is injured and in need of assistance, and Little Red Riding Hood, with her kind heart, agrees to help him. However, as they make their way to her grandmother's house, the wolf becomes increasingly aggressive and begins to reveal his true intentions. Dun, dun, dun. She arrives at her grandmother's home. Little Red Riding Hood realizes that her grandmother's Neuralink chip has gone offline, leaving her in a vegetative state. The wolf reveals himself to be the one responsible for the malfunction and demands that Little Red Riding Hood hand over her grandmother's research on Neuralink technology. It's then revealed that the wolf is part of a larger group of space explorers who are searching for a way to enhance their own neural links and rule over the galaxy, like you do. Little Red Riding Hood must use all of her wit and resourcefulness to outsmart the wolf and protect her grandmother's research. With the help of her own neural link, she is able to send a distress signal to a nearby colony. and a team of colonizers arrives just in time to rescue her and her grandmother. The conflict between Little Red Riding Hood and the wolf rises as they make their way to their grandmother's home, with the wolf becoming increasingly aggressive and manipulative. The conflict resolves when Little Red Riding Hood outsmarts the wolf and is rescued by a team of colonizers. The main theme of the novel is the importance of using technology for good and not letting it fall into the wrong hands. That's really helpful for the last couple of weeks for us. And in the end, Little Red Riding Hood and her grandmother are safe, and the wolf and his associates are taken into custody for their crimes. Little Red Riding Hood continues her work with Neuralink technology, determined to use it for the betterment of her planet and inhabitants. Okay. Sudden plot twist. Little Red Riding Hood is in her 20s. She should rescue herself. I agree. So then let's do that. So there's a feedback option here, and I can tell it to rewrite the synopsis, keeping a lot of it, but I can give it that important piece that who agrees that we should have Little Red Riding Hood saves herself, not colonizers? Who would like that to be a change in the synopsis? I'll give you guys a few minutes here to vote. This is so fun. Okay, we got some agrees. Yeah, saves herself for sure. This is 2023. We are not damsels in distresses. Okay, so we're going to do that. So I'm going to say have Little Red Riding Hood Little Red Riding Hood goes by the name LR. Little Red. I was trying to make it like Leet Speak. How about that? She goes by LR4H. I don't know. Does that work? And also, she should save herself. No colonizers. Okay, we can say the colonizers are aligned with the wolf. Let's not give it too many details. Let's just say that she should save herself. So we're just going to say, and we'll see what it does. So I'm going to rewrite it, and it's going to save herself. So here we go. Little Red 4H, Little Red Riding Hood, who goes by the name LR4H, is a smart and resourceful young girl living on a distant planet. So we got this, the dense forest, cool. She arrives at Neuralink, we're all good. She uses her wit and resourcefulness not only to save herself, but also recover her grandmother's research. And so with the help of her own Neuralink, she sends a distress signal to a nearby colony, and a team of colonizers arrives just in time to rescue her. So I think I don't remember she sending the distress signal to the colony before. Do you? I thought it was more like Deus Ex Machina that they just happened to arrive. Okay, so this is good enough. We're going to keep going. We will be here for 4 hours just working on the synopsis. So we're going to go ahead. Oh, she did send the first time too. Okay. She has an active role. Using her own Neuralink, she sends a distress signal to a nearby colony. Yeah. Okay. Then we're going to go. We're going to generate the characters. And the characters here, I love how it picked up that I said LR4H, and then it puts in parentheses that that's Little Red Riding Hood. I love that it kind of like Leet speaks the names. Wolf-like creature. Antagonist. Stellar. Accomplice. A loyal friend and fellow colonizer who responds to the... So now it's her friend who's on the colony. That actually makes more sense. Dr. Finks. FYNX. A respected scientist in the field of Neuralink technology whose moral compass is tested as he gets entangled in the conflict surrounding the stolen research. Commander Zale. A stern yet compassionate leader of the nearby colony who's committed to maintaining peace. And then Nebula, an enigmatic individual whose allegiances are unclear. So I don't know. We've got the synopsis and we've got some characters. I think we need to rename the wolf-like creature. How about his name looks like this? It's a abbreviation. What do we think about that? I don't know what it stands for. We will find out. How about we make Dr. Finks? Okay, you want Commander Zale to be female. How about we make them non-binary? Why don't we do that? A stern yet compassionate leader of the nearby colony who is committed to maintaining peace and order through the galaxy. Their guidance. I that would be a good thing for chat, which is a feature that we plan to bring in here. So we could ask, like, what could WOLF stand for with sci-fi as a thing? Their guidance and support play a crucial role in LR4H's quest to recover her grandmother's research. So there we go. So we have our characters. And now we are going to generate the outline. Now, I'm going to be honest with you about the outline here and say that this tool is designed for you to bring your own outline. Everyone's happy about that, right? Like, you don't want to be locked into a specific outline. So the outline it's going to do today is going to be a very basic fray tag, but it's not even got the ratios or anything like that. And that's a-okay. It's just basically to show you the format that the outline has to be in. So if I do a question mark here, it will show you that you'll have section 1, and you don't even have to say it, say introduction. You can actually change it to whatever you want to have it to say. So you can come with, basically you can come to the party with all of your parts. The only hindrance is that the characters are limited to 7,000 characters on the outline box. So if you are doing something epic and your outline is more than 7,000 characters, you're going to have to do it in sections. If it is, if you are doing a novella or something like that, then you would do something smaller. Now you'll notice Elizabeth chatted that whole time, and that's how long it took for the outline. Using the newer algorithms, they are, well, they're better, but they also take a little bit longer. And there's a bunch of different stuff going on in the background here. So let's see, here we have, she lives in a small technologically advanced village on the distant plains of Viridia, where she spends her days learning about neural link technology from her grandmother. The planet is filled with lush forests, strange creatures, and mysterious ruins from an ancient civilization. One day, LR4H's grandmother goes offline due to a malfunction in her Neuralink chip. Fearing for her grandmother's safety and knowing that she's the only one who can help, LR4H decides to embark on a journey through the dense alien forest to reach her grandmother's home and save her. Before leaving, LR4H equips herself with a backpack containing essential supplies, including a portable Neuralink device that allows her to communicate with others and access information about the planet's flora and fauna. She also carries a small, powerful weapon for self-defense. She's kind of an homage to Dora the Explorer, if you ask me. We've got a backpack and we have, grandma. So we just needed to say abuela, right? So this is running the outline and with guns. Yeah, we could make that powerful weapon. We could beef that up a little bit. As soon as we get access to the outline, it's still running. So right now we are at 700 words. And we are at 4,000 characters, and it's still going. So here it goes. Part 3, the falling action, the consequences. Nebula is still causing problems, so the wolf kind of got resolved early, and it's finished. So we have a conclusion. Now, you would want to validate this outline. This is not... it's great and it's fun to play with, but I would say that for those of you who are watching today, you'll notice that we kind of dispatched the wolf at the climax. And I don't know, I guess you could do it that way. If the wolf is kind of the patsy a little bit, or it's like the false win. So she wins against the wolf, but really Nebula was running the whole thing the whole time in the background. That could be an option here. We do have some people in the audience today who have had access to this tool, and they have been using it with their inputs and coming with their outlines, and they're able to generate a rough draft in that same day for a novella. So that's the next step of this tool. Do we have any questions? So it is generating based on an outline template. It's a very basic template, and let me show you how you can make some changes to this. So the question mark will show you how you have to bring it to the party. Now, you don't have to have it say introduction, believe it or not. If I want to say that this is Viridia, because that's the section in my head that it is, once I refresh my screen, just click a refresh, it's going to update, coming over here, it's going to update this drop down now. So now it says Viridia for part 1 through 3. What if I need more than 3 parts in my beginning section? Well, then I just press the enter key and do part 4. And I can go my ideas that I have. And now this drop down will immediately have a part 4. So it works based off of follow the naming conventions of the part 4 and section 1. Those are the critical parts. Everything else is optional. And then you make sure that you have a hard return between the sections. And that's how you can bring in information. Section and part are required. So I'm going to delete those spaces there. And again, you are limited to 7,000 characters right now. If you have a bigger story than that, just work in sections. Okay, who is ready for us to write scene 1, part 1? Okay, so the drop down, I go ahead and click which one I want, scene 1, part 1, and I'm going to click start the scene. And what it does, it immediately brings over this part 1 from here into this box. Now, I do have the option right now. Yes, you can start near the end. We'll do that next. I have the option right now to make changes. Now, if I make changes, so she lives in a small technological advance. You know what? We have that friend. Where's that friend? Come over here. Stellar. So LR4H gets a hologram message from her friend, Stellar, who is on a distant colony. Okay. So that's all I'm going to say. Like she's getting that message. So I added to it. You'll notice it did not update my outline. And that's because these boxes do not. We thought about this. And right now, I think that when you're in this part, you're working with it. And I may not like this. I may not want to commit it. So I can just work in this separately. And then I can always update that if I want to. Oh, and now I see the version 1 and version 2. All right, we'll go back to that. That just popped up. I couldn't get that before. So version 1 is our current one. Version 2 is actually a Save the Cat AI friendly type format. It's based off of our Hollywood beats. So I'll do that outline next, but I want to move on to this part here. So we're going to add Stellar in here. Now here's the other cool thing. What it should do is it should know which characters I'm talking about here, which is LR4H and Stellar and maybe the grandmother. And it should not bring in these other characters, Dr. Finks, Commander Zale, Nebula. This was one of the things that people who were early testers saw happen, and we had to fix that. So when I click generate commands, this is the new skill of working with AI. It's a completely new way of writing. It's thinking about your story in the smallest little story elements. Because if we know that AI, for those of you watching and participating in the chat, how many of you realize that AI writes 300 to 400 words really, really well? And then beyond that, it's kind of like, it just starts summarizing. So if we start meeting the AI where it works best, which is these 300 to 400 word slices, and start thinking of our story in those kinds of beats, we can come up with this section called commands, where each one of these commands is anywhere between 100 to 300 words. So in this command section, you do have a limit of characters of 2,000. You can bring more than 12 commands to the party. You can bring less than 12 commands to the party. And all this is looking at right now is it's looking at the section and it's looking at the character list. So we have right here, she's waking up in her cozy treehouse-like home. She joins her grandmother in their shared workshop. The grandmother shares a story from her youth, explaining how she first discovered the ancient ruins that led her to develop neural link technology. Get rid of the characterization before the thing here. Can you match? Hold on. I'm trying to read the chat here as we go. Get rid of the parenthetical. Okay, let me try doing that. We'll just take that out. Do you want me to rerun the commands? James? I think it's okay. Yeah, I think it's fine because it didn't bring in the parentheses here. Yeah, exactly. Harper points out after like 200 or 300 words, it starts like wrapping things in little bows, and that does not help us. We don't need little bows. That doesn't mean that this won't happen with this tool. It will still kind of summarize a little bit at the end, but that's just, it depends on what you have as your last command here. So looking at these, we need to validate them. And again, there's always the helpful question mark right here that will tell you what a command is. It's kind of like a scene beat. And you can generate 12, but you can have fewer. Now, when it starts to write the scene, it's actually going to look at the scene beats in groups of 3. And I share this because that's important when you're doing your planning. Sometimes if I have here, if story beat number 4 depends on story beat number 3, sometimes when it's writing 3, it can kind of like go off the rails a little bit. and start assuming things happen there. Like a best example I can give you is when I was playing with this with a Alice in Wonderland lit RPG. Number 3 said that the Mad Hatter type character offers her a potion. Now, part 4 says she drinks the potion. But at first, the AI only know that she got the potion, and it decided she did not drink the potion. So it was a contradiction of part 4. A quick change to my command in number 3 says she does drink the potion. She's going to drink the potion. Then it knows that, and it's going to wait. It's not going to be a break between 3 and 4. So that is one little kind of ripple a little bit in this new way of working with AI. But that's why we are the senior writing partner. We're the senior person in this relationship, and it's up to us to make sure that everything stays in the right flow. So all of that. Has anyone looked at these commands and seen anything that they want to make a change to? Is interrupted by a sudden mysterious power outage in the village. This is really cool. As they work, they discuss the importance of preserving the planet's natural resources. That seems kind of weird. I think that this would not, I think number 9 does not work. As they work, they discuss the importance of preserving their planet's natural resources. Let's not be so preachy. Okay, so she's working on this. So how about Grandma needs to go to the other side we're going to borrow from Jurassic Park for a second. She's got to travel to the other side of the forest and turn on the main breaker or something, right? So, the main breaker on I don't even know breaker is the right word. My sci-fi people help me out here. What's that? Go reset the main substation on the other side of the forest. And we're not going to do this. We're going to have LR4H volunteers. And I'm checking because I've got 7, 8, 9. So I'm going to actually put this in here. LR4H volunteers. Says no. She's too young. Okay, so that way, because you see how there would be a break there. So Grandma preps to go read the system and reset the main substation. The whole time. Okay. They share a heartfelt moment, discussing their deep bond as LR4H's parents serve in a colony far away. The scene ends with LR4H gazing out at the Verdian forest, contemplating the mysteries of the planet and the challenges. Nope. I'm going to say the scene ends with LR4H starting a new hologram message with Stellar. There we go. And then you could have a cliffhanger here. You could have that Grandma's neural link starts fritzing or blinking right there. So, and follow Grandma. Okay, here we go. I'm just going to check the top ones. So a new technique for using the neural link, allowing her to connect with the creature and learn about. Okay, so this is like a Q factor right here. This is definitely going to, like, as the senior writing partner, I would know that this piece right here where it teaches her how to use it, that's going to be like kind of a tool that she uses later on in the story to help. So everybody cool with the commands that we have so far? We good? A story from her youth. How about on Earth? There we go. Yep. All right. Okay, so we have our 12 commands. And here we go. We click generate. And now it's going to take those commands and it's going to start to turn it into prose. And I'm going to zoom, I'm going to scroll up so you guys can see it in real time. There's that Lewis Carroll influence. So here we go. Okay, so it decided to set off through the forest. Oh, she just went to the workshop. And I think it might be kind of making LR4H a little bit young because we didn't specify how old she is. Only that our home has vanished. It's an optical illusion. So I think it's interesting that it's bringing the most fascinating caterpillar. It told me of an ancient earth tale of ruins lost to time. So this is how it's bringing in that story beat where it says she's got to tell a story from her childhood on Earth. And I said Earth. I don't think I like Lewis Carroll. I think Lewis Carroll is a little too heavy on. It's like bringing a rabbit hole and curiouser. Although I do like the caterpillar thing. And what's really neat is that you could actually change the style scene to scene. That's one option that you do have. Another hack that we have kind of figured out with this is that the character list, you could actually have multiple character lists like in a document that you copy and paste in. You could change your character list as you're moving through the story so that like LR4H, as she's doing adventures and stuff, she could actually become better. And so like maybe she's not as curious as she gets a little bit less naivete or whatever. Yeah, you could basically have style per scene if you wanted to. And this is where the AI needs to be fixed a little bit. An ancient artifact that might confirm the earth tale your grandmother mentioned. Like, what, Stellar? How did you didn't hear the tale? You can't just bring that in. So this is where you'd have to fix it a little bit. But it is following those commands I gave it. The problem was the commands. The commands were pretty broad. Oh, look at this. She reached like tendrils of ivy, and she got a magnificent kaleidoscope of alien memories and unknown worlds unfold in her mind's eye from the neural link. By the way, we've just hit 1,000 words, and I don't know about you, but I haven't done any typing really here. Like, this is great. I love editing. I love fixing words. This is why I dictated for many years. I loved dictating and getting these raw words. I would get like 700 to 1,000 words that they would be an absolute mess, and I would have to change them and edit them. So I'm watching the chat here. Yes, what James is talking about there, we have big plans for Story Bible and characters and different parts linking to other parts in your Sudowrite project. We're just kind of building it one step at a time, and this is Story Engine. So this is kind of a really cool first step of actually getting a big chunk of writing that listens to your commands instead of just hallucinating and deciding what happens. So if you guys are reading this as you go, what do you think of the quality? Is it something that you would consider a decent first draft that you would be happy to start making changes to? Yeah, I would never say that you should publish this right away. This is definitely like, this is first draft. It's a good way to get a story started. It's a good way to fight against blank page-itis. We are at 1,600 words, everybody. And I love this because like it'll slow down and then another loop starts and it's like, go again. So this is, and I think this is going to be a game changer. I mean, no longer do you have to look at a project that you want to do and go like, oh my gosh, I don't have time to make that happen. It's a good idea, but I'm so busy and I've got these other commitments or I'm on deadline. Okay, we're done. 1747. So this is interesting. I kind of like this idea of Stellar following along and being like hologram. So you could do this. And now, once I have this, I could copy it, click copy in the top right. I'm going to close this X. Oh, one more important thing. Would you guys say that this gets a thumbs down or a thumbs up for how well it did? I'll wait for the votes. So I'm going to do a thumbs up so that we know that it did well. It listened to the commands because that's important. Now, if it had gone off the rails for the commands, then I would be like, hey, this is a problem. I'm going to copy it. And thumbs up and thumbs down is really important for us, especially if you do sign up for the alpha access on this, so that way we can make sure that everything that we're doing here is what you guys need. So I'm going to close out of this. And now I'm in my Sudowrite space. And you know I'm going to call this scene 1. And then I'm just going to paste and match style. And now I have at my disposal all of my Sudowrite laser tools. I could literally grab this and click my rewrite button and say that, hold on a minute, because this text is really tiny. Is that better so you guys can actually read the text there? Let's have it be more descriptive or show not tell. Actually, how about more inner conflict? Let's do that one. And we just click go. And now you have all your normal Sudowrite commands at your disposal to actually make changes with this. And now I have these opportunities here. So if you know your Sudowrite tools very well, you now have full control, and you're starting off with I think this is a much stronger first draft. Talking about our first draft tool. So we got 1,700 words. If I want to go back, I just go back to Story Engine. And all of our boxes have the copy button. So if I want to copy and paste the outline, for example, let's say I want to copy this outline and I want to work with it. I can come into Sudowrite, just pressing my X, do new, always do a new document, and we always name everything. And I'm going to call this outline. And if I paste that in, I can now grab these things. And so one tool I think that we are going to need is I want the ability to like condense this down so it's summarized. Oh, I can do that actually. Let me shrink ray this. Shrink it. Confirm. We're going to kind of do something really crazy here, but I think it's going to work. So our shrink ray tool, it charges the words that it's reading, but it's going to give me like a basic synopsis of it. But then I'm going to take that synopsis, feed it into part 1, and then run you guys are going to see. This is kind of like this is going to be cool. I think this is going to really work. Come on, shrink ray. Get it together. So you can get your paws on it very soon. Condog, there is a link in the top for you to apply for access. And because it does use so many words, this is going to be available for those with a pro plan or a max plan. It's not that we're against the hobby people or anything like that, but with only 30,000 words, you're not going to be able to, you're going to get probably frustrated when it's running 2,000 words on 1,700 words. And you're learning how to use the tool and everything like that. So this is something that for right now, it's available to our the max and the pro plan. The legacy plan is a good question. I don't have an answer on that. I can let me get back to that. If you go ahead and apply, that is a good question. I don't think we anticipated that. I don't know if James is still here or not to answer that about the legacy plan. So please just go ahead and apply. And when the box that says like, hey, what projects you use, just put in there that you're like, tell me the projects and then let me know that you're on the legacy plan. Yeah, it's not. Oh, I see. Shrink rate is not working. Okay. So I'm using a very experimental prototype of the linking thing here. So what I'm going to do is, because I want to show this possibility here of how you can work back and forth. So bear with me and stuff. We're going to go to ChatGPT real fast. And I'm going to just use Turbo. And I'm just going to say, summarize the following chapter. Do my colon, and I'm going to paste it in. Are you guys able to see the ChatGPT or no? Did it not move because share this tab instead? Oh, there we go. So I'm just getting the, are you able to see it now? I just told it to share this tab instead. It might be on a little bit of a delay. Okay, good. So my prompt was summarize the following chapter. I just used Turbo. It put that chapter in. In Sudowrite, I would use shrink ray for this, but I'm using an experimental link. So we're working on the fly here. I've got this little summary. Now you're probably wondering, Elizabeth, what are you going to do with that summary? Just you wait. So I'm going to copy this summary that I have, make sure it makes sense. So she's working on the substation. I'm going to come back to my Sudowrite and share this tab instead, and I'll wait for it to catch up. So let me know if it, please let me know as soon as you guys see the Sudowrite. Okay. So I'm going to go to outline. So the legacy plan is a plan that was available the very first year that Sudowrite opened up back in 2021. Some of us are ancient history on Sudowrite, and we've used that. So my original outline had this piece, right, where it was, and we've done more. So I'm going to paste in that change, that summary that I have. Now, obviously, this is going to blow up my outline. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell it to, I'm going to rewrite this and say, make it shorter, because I'm lazy. But you could actually make it shorter yourself. So I'm going to make it shorter. Stick with me. There's a reason I'm doing this. I like that. So this is definitely more specific about what happened. So I'm going to insert this, take out the longer one. Now this is sneaky. So your write tool on Sudowrite is almost like a super chat. And if whatever document you have, whatever format you have it in, it's going to try to mimic that format. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just click, I'm going to come to my write settings. I'm going to say 3 cards, 250 words, great, most creativity. I'm going to put my cursor here at the end of part 1. I'm going to go ahead and start seeding part 2. So it knows that it has to write a part 2. And then I'm just going to click write. And the cards I should get will actually go ahead and write me options for part 2. And the reason I'm doing this is because it's also hard-coded to try to match what already happened in the story. So it's read this, and 250 words might be a little too much. Let's bring that down. Let's go down to like 150 words and try that again. I think we only need like two cards too. This is the hazards of doing this live. Does everyone understand what I'm kind of doing here? I'm basically dog fooding. Like I wrote one chapter, I wrote a scene, and now I'm trying to update my outline so that it's accurate for what already happened in the story. So they start off with their adventure, following grandma and everything like that. Yeah, the creativity is super high. I agree. That's not really working for us. Bring the creativity down because it's thinking that we're with grandma. They work to restore power. I need to add in here, grandmother leaves without LR4H. LR4H is then propositioned by her companion. So there we go. Right. And we probably need more details on here. I'm just trying to show like an example of what you could do. So they to find the grandmother who had left without her, the path is treacherous. So I could do this. So this is kind of like how you could work on your outline a little bit. And I like that one. And now the original one was that grandmother goes offline due to a malfunction in her Neuralink chip. So now I could actually work on this. And then I could put, so this increases the, so the end of the scene is going to be like her Neuralink goes off. So LR4H is lost. What do we think of the new part 2 versus the original part 2? Here's the original part 2, and now I have a new part 2. What are your thoughts? And yeah, thank you for talking to me about the creativity setting. If you put the creativity setting down on the lowest one, you usually get better stuff that you can just copy and paste. I'll wait for the chat to catch up. I know there's like a little bit of a delay. Yeah, there is definitely still a lot of work. All right, I'm going to go with this one, and we're going to copy it. And to get back to my story engine, I'm going to come right over here to story engine. And so before I do summary 2, I'm going to update my outline right here. And I'm going to put in the new stuff that they start their journey. And I think I also I don't need to grab the other part because it's not going to read. But if you wanted to be true, you should probably update your other outline, part of the outline. So now I'm going to do part 2. And when I do part 2 and start the scene, see, it pulls the information in from the update to the outline because I updated the outline first before I did this. If I didn't, it would pull the old stuff in. And then we're going to generate the commands. And we're going to have a cancel button on the commands. Right now we have a cancel button on the scene pros because I'd actually want to stop this, because do you guys see a big mistake I made in my summary? Is Stellar actually there, or is she only there by hologram? She's only there by hologram. Do you think that that's probably some important information that the AI should know? Yeah, because it's writing like Stellar's right there. And this is human error, not AI error. This is my fault. Yeah, they are definitely like scene beats, so it can follow them to write the prose. That's exactly what it is. So, and the hologram of Stellar begin their journey. So now when I click that, it should fix it. It should go, okay, she's there by hologram. There we go. Now it's updating those. And I may still have to realize and look at these beats because it might, remember they're in groups of 3. So I want to make sure that I put in hologram, hologram, hologram. Yes, this is actually, as soon as the live is done, it'll be available on YouTube. And I'm going to be adding classes to the schedule for the next couple of weeks just for Story Engine. So we'll be able to work in small groups. Plus there's Wednesdays, we have office hours. There's a link in the description where you can sign up for classes so that we can work through this. This is a lot. This is completely going to change our industry in terms of how people can write books. They don't have to write books this way, but it's a new opportunity that you could get deeper into your stories and start building them out with AI. So for these, I'm going to make sure that hologram. And then before I do anything else here, I want to show a hack that our developer, or best practice, I think, that our developer, Josh, came up with. And I love it. So let's pretend I had validated. I had validated the entire outline. The outline is Chef's Kiss. I know it's exactly the story that I want. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. What you could do is you could start generating part 3, start the scene. Part 1, start the scene for section 2. So you could build this all the way out. You could generate the commands. This was an idea that Josh had. So basically you could work this in a way. One workflow could be you bring the parts here, and then you're able to check for story logic all throughout the different beats. So you could go with, what is it, 216? There's, in the basic outline, there's 18 parts. There's 6 parts times 3 times 12. So yeah, that's 36 times 6. 2 and the 1. Yeah, I think 216. So because we are using newer algorithms with this, because they write better, the things that we've had available with like DaVinci, for example, the hard coding and the hard stuff is not, it's not baked into DaVinci as much. So the newer algorithms kind of do that moralizing a lot more. They don't handle a lot more violent content or sexual content. So we're just giving like a warning there, because if you go to the application, that you're going to need to say kind of PG-13 or R. But then once you get that scene, you can always go back into regular Sudowrite and use your write tools and things like that to go ahead and take it to the level for adults that you need for your genre. Yeah, so this way you could do this and then generate. There was another question. Somebody wanted to know, can you do them out of order? And the answer is yes. So I'm going to do part 6. And again, we're going to pretend that I had validated everything. So it's going to generate those. And then I'm going to show you what happens when, what happens if I do like section 2, part 1, section 6, part 1. If I do section 3, part 1, will it put it at the end of section 6 or will it put it in the middle? And it'll actually put it in the middle. It will keep them in order for you. I know some of us are going to immediately go, but what if I want to reorder them? I know the user interface is not there yet. We've got to walk before we can run. Yes, very much order. So there's section 6. And we also want to have some better tools of getting back. This is where it's alpha. So you're going to have to scroll back. But now if I go ahead and grab section 4 and click start scene, it will immediately put it between section 2 and section 6. If you are done with a scene and you don't want it anymore, you can click the delete the entire section. Don't do that until you have copied and pasted all the pieces though into another document, because once you delete it, it's gone. So if it gets like too unwieldy, you can kind of like copy and paste stuff into the document and then come back. That is a good question. I don't think we're going to wait too long on the access. So our biggest concerns is that we wanted to make sure everybody understood how to make it work. And obviously you're here at this training. So because it does use a lot of words at one time. So every time you click go, it's going to use those 1,500 or 200 or 1,500 to 2,000 words when it's going. So that's important for people to understand. Okay, Vashti asks, ooh, can you give it previous scenes you've written or modified? And if so, will it remember those when writing a new scene? Not innately. You can do that through the outlines. So basically, take your previous scenes, turn them into outline form. You can bring your own outline, and basically it can remember some of the logic from the previous outline if you have it in your summary. So you can kind of control that. Yes, basically what I was doing with the outline. The other way is that you can kind of push yourself to keep the narrative logic with the commands. So what you're asking for is something that we want to get to, but the first goal was just how do we get the AI to just follow instructions and write the scene that we wanted to write. That was kind of our first bugaboo that we had to solve. Because it was a lot of copy and pasting to come up with this system. We were doing this like 2 weeks ago, we were doing this manually with GPT 3.5 of like, can we ask it to follow one, do the whole thing, do one section at a time? Yeah, there was a lot of prompting work that went into this, but it was a lot of fun. I wouldn't change it for the world. The people who helped the most with the prompting, they know who they are, but specifically people I can call out is anyone who understands Dinkus and Christine Breen and Karen Brown. They have been really, really great friends to me in this whole journey of like exploring AI and seeing what happens. Yep. So I've been very, very lucky. And I think we all need to stick together. We all need to work together because the new ways of writing are just week by week. There are some weeks I have our lead designer who makes amazing UX, Ryan. He talks about having an existential crisis every time new stuff gets announced. And I wholeheartedly agree with him. So it's important as we're working through these things, have friends that you can call up, join our Slack group and say, hey, I'm like worried about this. People will be there to help, calm everybody down. It's hard to be on the cutting edge of all this stuff and do it alone. That's for sure. We need a group. Can you change the point of view? Yes, you can. The way we would do that is we would do that at the, I'll show you. We'll let that finish. Actually, we can just click cancel. So if I click cancel, it just stops. So it stops generating. But the downside of that is that you can't just resume it. You would have to start generating from the beginning. So the cancel button is just like a hard stop. So if you want to change point of view, you're going to do so over here in this style. And do we want to write past tense or present tense, Jacqueline? Present tense? Okay, right, first person point of view from LR4H present tense. So I'm going to do that. And I'm going to, nobody panic, but we did copy and paste section 1. So I'm going to delete this entire section. It's going to ask me, am I sure? And I'm going to say yes. And I'm going to go part 1, start the scene. And so it has that information. I'm going to generate new commands. The commands are not going to be the same as we had before, but we're going to make sure that it can write in first person. Because the whole point of this is putting it through its paces. Present tense. Okay. Dr. Finks's furtive flirtations in a bottle. That's hilarious. I'm just reading the chat, y'all. So we're going to generate these commands. And you'll notice that the commands turned into first person point of view. Yep, first person for romance. So if you wanted to control by character, like let's say scene 1, scene 2 is different characters, you would just change it in that prose section too. You would say like first person for this one, you would just change it for as the scene that you're generating, because it's going to append that to the prompting that it does. So suppose you want to change something in the commands. Can you do that and have it be recognized in the prose writing? Yes, you can change these all like you can say add in a puppet. So once I click in here, oh, this one's over the character limit, so I'd have to change that. So as long as you're within the characters, and we may actually need to beef up the command section commander characters a little bit, but yeah, you could make changes there. So now I'm going to do generate, and let's see if it writes in first person. Fingers crossed that it does. Here we go. Please write in first person. Please write in first person, please. Yes, it did. Haha, and it's present tense. So this was the question here is, do we think of sections as chapters? That's a good question. This actually came up in our development of this tool. How many people here, when you write a chapter, you write one scene per chapter? And how many of you write multiple scenes per chapter? Let us know in the chat. And I'll wait. It's so weird to live like 3 seconds into the future. Multiple, both. Multiple. So you can see why chapter as a container is absolutely worthless as far as definition goes, because what a chapter is different for everybody. But a scene has a little bit stronger container clarification to it. So if I say scene to an author, it doesn't matter if they write one scene per chapter or multiple scenes per chapter. They understand what a scene is. A scene has a beginning and an end and a middle, and it's very clear. I know what a scene is. If I say chapter, somebody might think chapter and go, oh, well, my chapters are 5,000 words long, so they must be talking about that. So that's why we went ahead and went with the phrasing of scene, so that way you can understand that. So yeah, we went something completely different. We got some village elders now, and we've got some conflict, and that just has to go with the commands were completely different. This is also really helpful if you're a pantser. You could get into a scene and you could generate 2, 3, or 4 different versions and get 1,000 words and like think about it, or get in there and kind of see what happens, change your commands and explore and see what resonates with you and what doesn't. You can also change the characterizations. So you can, it's rudimentary right now, but over here on the character section, she's smart and resourceful. If I start making that she's sassy and she always speaks back to elders or something like that, you can change the characterization based on the scene that you're doing. So it is raw form. There's a lot of customization opportunities here, but it's I think it's important that we keep it that way so that it has maximum flexibility for you guys for whatever you write. I really didn't want to. Oh, that's a good idea, Alejandro. I'll do that next. Okay, so we're good with scene prose. We're good. I'm going to stop it. I'm going to cancel. All right. We're going to come over here, and for the style, write in screenplay format. Here we go. We're going to keep those same commands because I'm trying to save time and I don't want to generate the rest. So I'm gonna grab all of this and delete it. So we're not doing that. Yeah, see, I don't know if it's going to work either, James, but we're going to find out. And we're going to click generate. This is so much fun. I have the best job in the world. It's doing it. Yes, it is. Writing in screenplay format. Shut the front door. Do we have any screenplay writers in the house? Yeah, the first paragraph. So how many of you have ever used AI and you've asked it to do something, and then you got unexpected results. Like maybe you fed it bullet points and then you asked it to write the chapter and it just gave you more bullet points. Anybody experience that with chat? Yeah, all the time. So the earliest forms of AI, like the earliest algorithms, you always had to give it an example. So one of the ways that we are trying to make sure that it doesn't start giving you more commands is that we kind of seed it with a little bit of writing. So it's like, hey, match this. And we're finding that that does a little bit better. So you might find that your first paragraph is like a repeat of what comes next in the first beats or something like that. It's there to help make sure that it's going to write in the style that you want. We had the option of hiding it, but I'm like you and I don't want to throw away good words. Like I could use pieces of that. I will edit it. I will make it work. The last thing I want is for like a good paragraph to get wasted. So it is there. And there were people who asked like if they could actually seed it, and that might be something that's down the road. That might be an option that you could put in your beginning of the scene or something like that, so it could match that voice. Yep, absolutely. So there we go. We got a screenplay. I'm flabbergasted. We never. Yeah, the scenes are too short for a screenplay, but I mean, it does have a little bit, it is a start for you to start playing with. I'm going to go ahead and stop it for right now. Yes, you can bring your own outline. Okay, so I think we should try out the new outline format. Who wants to start the who wants to try the version 2 outline? Suppose you want to split the first scene into 2 and give it more specific commands. Can you have it focus on the first set of beats and drafting and erase those beats? Yeah, you would just have to manually do it, Vashti. So you would, if you take these out 7 through 12, you're going to get probably about half of the words. You'll get about 1,000 words, and then you could move 7 and 8 over. You could also just save them into. So one kind of little bit of a hacky hack is if you don't want to have to save things into other places, the feedback box. So let's say I know I want to run these next. I just Control X and bring it over to the feedback box. Don't click that one, but they're just held there. So now I could click. Wait, we don't want screenplay format. Now I'll just put Dr. Seuss because that's just going to be hilarious. And we will click generate. And so I only have 1 through 6 in there. Okay, it'll have one less session. Yeah. Good planning here. So here we have Dr. Seuss. LR4H slid on her thinking cap. Its neuron zapping with a snap. Grandmother, look, she cried with a glee. I've linked our minds. Now we will see if together we can solve this beast. Make tech for good. Pass every test and beast do not rhyme. Okay, so I have those beats. And basically I would run it Vashti. And then once I was done with that, you would do your copy, take it over into this one, add a new. And I know that this is tedious because it's manual. It won't always stay manual, I promise. So you put it in there, that one, come back to Story Engine. Everything's still saved. And oh no. Okay, interesting. That did not so it cleared the feedback box on the refresh. So usually it doesn't do that. Thankfully, I have it saved because I have jump cut. So, which you could use a tool like jump cut. So I had it saved in my clipboard. So, yeah, feedback did not save on the refresh. So you could save it to a notepad file. No, I didn't do a cut or a copy. I did a copy, but I had it already saved in my jump cut. Jump cut is a tool for Mac that allows me to like load up my clipboard with a bunch of different copy and paste. That's how I wrote so fast with GPT-4. Yeah, so that's like the general workflow. You would have to manually do those splits and think critically about which command you want to run. And just so that we're not being comical anymore, I'm going to take out Dr. Seuss and I'm going to put in, how did we originally did Lewis Carroll for a modern audience. And I'm going to click generate. And I'm going to let that run just so that you can see that it's only going to write about 1,000 words. It might write about 800 to 1,000. Yeah, clipboard expanders definitely make working with AI helpful because there's so much copying and pasting. Okay, so let's make a list of some other things because we've been at this for an hour. I know some people have taken a lunch break to come here, and I'm so grateful for that. So if anyone hasn't had a question answered yet, go ahead and get it in the chat, and let's go ahead and make a critical list of things that we still want to see. So we want version 2 of the outline, and I'll talk about that. Any other, let's see here, it's going. Oh, I can zoom in a little bit. Does that help you guys read the words a little bit better? The zoom in. I will say one view that really inspires me is if you actually zoom all the way out, there is something really compelling about seeing your story like this. Like it's just all the pieces and starting to really think about what goes in for story construction. And you can also watch it right, kind of zoomed out. But I'm going to zoom in. And that's just, I'm just zooming in and out on my browser. We'll zoom in one more, 75%. Sounds good. If you wanted to use it for a work in progress, like a chapter at the end of a novel in progress, you need to convert your novel in progress to an outline form, or you can just do like, you do need at least an outline with some part in it. So I'll show you that in just a second. So Jeff J, a work in progress, one chapter at a time. So that's kind of a hack that you can do with this. If you don't want to have to do the whole flipping thing, I'll show you how you can get it going. So the way that you character sections for each chapter, so you don't have to manually change the character section. That's a good idea. Although Sylvia, the new one automatically pulls the characters now, so you don't actually have to manually remove characters. So that's kind of a cool thing. Yep, as James says. But I do like your idea of like having the opportunity to have sections of the characters. That's one, like maybe it shows what it pulled in, and then you have an opportunity to change that, or that's something that you could toggle. Okay, another question that was not clear on how to switch point of view from scene to scene. So you're going to control how it writes in your style box. The style box can tell you what author style you want to write it in, or what genre style. Maybe not genre, because you have a genre box too, but style box. So if you want to do, lots of dialogue or more narrative prose or things like that, you can do that there. You also, and we'll add that to the example, you also can say here, like first person point of view from this character's point of view, present tense. So you change the style box here before you generate a scene, you generate the scene. If the next scene's in a different point of view, you come back over here, you change the style to what the next one is. And then that was what goes. The only way you could have it right in your own style is if you can define your own style. It kind of knows my name, but as far as it actually doing in your style, that might be something for the future, but it's probably not going to be something right away. That's some next level things that we're looking at with the lore book and stuff like that. Yeah, it would be cool to upload a sample and say, write like this. It's tempting because this is so cute, like just having the different sections on mobile. I think that's long term, but that's a good idea too about the mobile app. I think it might be hard to kind of get that big view on the outside. Okay. So Maggie, did that answer your question about how to switch point of view from scene to scene? Basically, before you generate the scene, you just change it in the style box is how you control your point of view. Yes, iPad would be very great. I kind of want to use my pencil and do like text, handwriting to text, but that's just me. I handwrite my story beats out in a composition notebook. Okay, I'm going to start clearing sections for right now. Go, yep. Actually, I'm going to stop. Well, I guess it's kind of too late anyway. We're going to have to turn off, because you guys are seeing this okay thing, right? The warning, or no? You don't see the warning that I get? Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and run. We're back to where we are. And I'm going to delete everything in the outline. Bloop. And now I'm going to click this version 2. Version 1 is kind of like a basic fray tag, introduction, conflict, or introduction, what is it? Yeah, conflict, rising action, climax, that kind of a thing. Version 2 is Hollywood Beats. And this is a Hollywood Beats, which is a flavor of Save the Cat, but it was specifically redesigned to be understood by the AI. And the reason I say that is because you tell me what a robot thinks Dark Night of the Soul means. It doesn't. So that's why we have to translate it into specifically what it wants. This looks like it's giving me the exact same outline just a bit. It changed the planet name. Okay, her studies. Well, I guess we'll tell if it does it or not based on if it does one less part. Which makes sense because there's 15 beats. So 5 times 3. So there would be only 5 sections. Yeah, it doesn't Dark Night of the Soul or from Pulp Fiction's Go for the Throat. Yeah, it doesn't understand those. Okay. Use pictures from phone with character recognition to ingest. That's cool. What if you paste a paragraph of your own writing in and then say, imitate the above style and write in first person? The style box is limited to 100 characters. So that could be a future if we do some testing of expanding that style box. But remember how AI works. So all of the algorithms have a context window. And some of you who have played with ChatGPT or something like that, you'll know like 3.5 Turbo, it has about 4,000 tokens. Well, what the heck is a token? How long is that? It's about 2,700 words, 2,000 really. And that has to be the prompt and the response. So if you were getting 2,000 words out of this thing, you can imagine it's a teeny tiny window to have some context for a prompt. If we are using GPT-4, not the 32K one, but just the regular GPT-4, that has a context window of 8,000 tokens. It's 8,097, 8,000 tokens. That's roughly about 5,000 words before it starts to go off the rails. It starts to like hallucinate. So that means we have 5,000 words in which to get all of this prompting in, which is your style and your characters and your commands and the summary. And then also leave room for the 2,000 words that you want to generate. So that's the balancing act of deciding like which parts do you want to promote first and push more into the prompting and things like that to make it all run the way that you want to. Okay, we've got section 4, climax and conclusion. So we got the conflict, rising action, and the conflict and conclusion. Okay. Let's see. Oh, it is definitely getting the save the cat type of thing because it's pulling in ordinary world. And again, you could copy this outline, take it to Sudowrite, and you could bring it in. And then you have all of these other things. I do want to do one other thing to show you too, a kind of a hack. Because how many of you use the outline tool on Sudowrite? Anyone? I'm going to bring in this. I'm not going to get the main theme on this. So this was one outline that we have, and it's a version 2. So it's a new way of doing this. I'm going to close out of this. I just have the story premise. I'm going to come into Canva. Let me go back so I can do that a little bit slower. So I was in Story Engine. I copied most of the synopsis. I took everything up before the main theme of the novel. I don't need the main theme of the novel for this. So I'm only taking the first 4 paragraphs. So I copied that. I'm going to get out of Story Engine. I'm going to come into Canvas. And now I'm going to click my outline tool and I want Hollywood Beats. Go. I'm going to paste this in so it has this information. We'll see how much it follows. And then I'm going to generate a full outline. This is kind of an interesting hack because remember, it just needs parts and it needs sections. So our existing outline will already give you parts. If you just make some edits to it and put some sections in there, wham, bam, you have an outline that will work with Story Engine. And again, in the future, we will, yes, it is very similar to version 2. But you could do this for a romance outline because I know a romance outline is pretty robust. So if you do it for a romance outline just to get the parts, you could then bring that into the world. And we could do that later. Maybe next week's live stream will be about writing romance. So I have this. For those of you who know, I'm not going to validate this outline because we're moving through to how does it work. I'm just going to click my 3 dots, all hail the 3 dots, copy the outline to the clipboard, and go back to my project. Once I'm here, new document, and I'm going to call this outline 2, so I know. Change from romance to fantasy after creating in romance. Yep, why not? We can do all the things. We are masters of the story universe. So I have this and I have 15. So all I have to do is, we don't need this part because that's just the extra bits of telling me what the prompting was. So I have to have section 1, part 1, and then we can have 2. And the sections are kind of moot in a way. Like the AI doesn't know that section 2 is something specifically important. It just knows that that's the sequence that it goes in. Section 3 will come down here. Section 4. And we'll do section 5 right here. You don't have to have 5 sections. You could just have all 1 section if you wanted to. This is a way that you could kind of hack this for a novella too, if you wanted to make these shorter. I'm going to grab all of this. I'm going to just make sure that my character count is pretty low. Character count's 5,000, so we're good. So I'm going to copy it, come back into Story Engine. And remember, this drop down is controlled by what's in the outline. So we have this really nice and neat section 1 and all that. I'm going to grab all of this, paste my new outline in, go ahead and make sure I refresh just to make sure that it's there. Okay, you might need a dash after the title. Let's see. And we do. So it doesn't have that. So we need, hold on. I'll get the formatting from here. Ah, I see. I put a colon where there should be a dash. Tricksy, tricksy, tricksy. Okay, so no colon after section. Do a dash. Space dash, and we definitely need the line breaks. I know that. And thank you, James, for pointing out that I had the formatting wrong. And then we'll refresh. Oh, it still is going to need a colon, you think? Yep, it is. 1. We'll do that. 2, because it doesn't matter what it says. It just has to have the format. You know, this is also a way that you could almost like comment out your outline in a way. If you mess up the formatting, it wouldn't pick it up. But it'd probably just append it to the next part, so that wouldn't work actually. Never mind, strike that. Don't do that. Nope. Okay, this doesn't work. I take it back. I broke it. So I can't get it to go completely right. So I would just copy and paste it into an existing one. I don't know what I need to do more to make this fit. So what are the requirements and limitations of the section? Well, let's look at the thing. It says section 1 dash colon part 1. Maybe. Oh, that makes, although there we go. Okay, that's it. So you can't have these titles. So no titles on the part 3. Only the sections get titles. So you just take those out. We are basically putting in a custom outline. Basically, I grabbed an outline from our outline tool, and I was showing how you could reformat it. Not very well, mind you. So this is something that I would have to do slower, step by step in a video. So to show how you could modify, or actually we'll probably just fix it. So like with a click of a button, it'll turn it into the right format for you, because this is not ideal. We don't want you guys to have to do this. This is just one way that you could hack it for the alpha release, that you could bring in an outline from the outline tool. Yeah. But thanks, John, for being like, I don't remember what we're trying to do. Yeah, we do eventually want these to be both compatible. And so this is one way. Now you see that I have all these different parts here, and they're all over the place. It still renumbered it 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, even though it says 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's interesting. So the number doesn't matter. So now I could actually run this. And so section 4, part 2. So if I come down to section 4, part 2, LR4H is at her lowest point emotionally. She's at her lowest point emotionally. So this is the way that you could kind of hack it a little bit. Oh, big clubs collections. What are the requirements and limitations? Can I have 4 parts with 10 parts each for a 40? Yes, you could. So the little question mark here shows you what format it has to be in Big Cub. So you would just have section 1, section 2, section 3, section 4, and then you'd have part 1 with a colon all the way through 10. Now, your one restriction may be you only have 7,000 characters. So it probably is not going to be able to do 40 parts all at one go. So you're going to have to do that in sections. We recommend doing it in sections of anywhere between 10 to 20 sections at a time. It's really going to depend on how detailed your summaries are. And I think we'll look into, James, if there's any way for the summary box to be a little bit more than 500 characters, because I think that they're going to want to bring in a little bit more detail there. All righty. So any last questions for the live? Because we've been doing this for an hour and a half, and quite frankly, I had an hour and a half SON Sudowrite 101, and I know you guys are anxious to for us to get access rolling on this. So what do you guys think of the tool? I mean, do you guys think that this is going to be a game changer? I know it's so different than what we're used to working with. Good. All right. Well, the live is going to be available right after this. It'll just have to process and everything, so you guys will be able to watch it a bunch of times. And it really, I feel like it's like an interactive reading experience. When I play with this, I feel joy writing again. So much joy that I get to play with this and everything like that. So there we go. All right. I'm going to stop sharing this and come back to StreamYard and just be me. So thank you so very much for coming. Please make sure you join the Slack community or sign up for classes, lou.ma/Sudowrite. All the links are in the description on this video. So there is the link to sign up for alpha access if you are a member of Sudowrite. There is also a link to a free trial if you'd like to try Sudowrite out. We're a pretty fun bunch. I do try to do a live once a week. And thank you for all of these comments and everything. This has really been a very special live. So I want to wish you best of luck on your writing projects, and I will see you guys around.